I've had 20 fights in MMA at this point, and I've never went for a takedown. So I watched his fights. It doesn't look like he goes for takedown too much as well, but I'm going to be that person. I'm going to make MVP to be the first one to jump for a takedown.
Last time you fought, you gave us a knockout of the year contender, something we've never seen before. What do you have in store for us this time? Is it going to be something just as crazy, or do you think it's just going to be, maybe a more traditional knockout of Michael Page?
It's not just the contender for knockout of the year. It's a contender for a knockout of the century. So I would say, this is not something that's ever been done before, and I don't know if it's ever going to be repeated. So knockout of the century, I'm calling it now. That's what it's going to be. And when it comes to the fight on February 1st, all I'm going to say is just do not blink. Just watch the fight. You want to see it. You don't want to miss anything.
Easy, how are you? Good?
Is this the first time in your UFC stint that you felt like the veteran?
Yes. I said gatekeeper as a joke early on. Yeah, I feel like the guy, like the old dog, and then there's the young guys coming up trying to, prove themselves. So it's my job to send them back down and let them know, still here.
You're obviously the name guy in this fight, right? You've done this, and some would say, well, the pressure's on you then, even if I was not meant to beat you, you're the one who's got the reputation. But could you see this in another way where my legacy is already cemented, so there's actually no pressure on me, because whatever happens from here on out, I'm good, I'm in the Hall of Fame?
Exactly. I feel, honestly, God forbid, like, if I lose my next 10 fights, it wouldn't affect my legacy. So I put pressure on myself. Don't get me wrong, when it's time, I'll put pressure on myself. But, if he doesn't feel the pressure, good for him. But, yeah, he'll find.
And I got to ask you now about your career. Last time we saw you was against Evlev. You came up short, but has there been discussions as to what is next, and where do you feel you're at in your career right now? Because you've done so much, right? But at the same time, you're still young, and you still look good in that fight, even despite the defeat. Like, where are you at in your career? What's your mentality at? What do you think is next?
I feel great. A lot of fans don't think I lost that fight. I watched it back a couple times now, and I still don't think I lost the fight. Obviously, the judges are the judges, so whatever they say is going to stay in the history books. I would love to run it back with him. If not, maybe fight Arnold Allen. What's up, brother? How you doing? Maybe fight Arnold Allen, Brian Ortega. I want to fight up. I don't really want to fight down, but if I have to prove my worth again, then it is what it is. I'm still chasing that goal. If I can get a second gold belt, man, that's another legacy thing that people can't take away from me. So I'm chasing history, man, at this point. Of course, the paychecks are good, but I'm not fighting just to be in there to say I'm fighting. I'm in there to beat the best guys. I'm in there to say I fought the best guys. And that's what it's about for the rest of my career.
MMA is not what it was. That's the truth of the matter. Boxing is bigger than ever. The biggest sporting event of the year in 2024 was boxing, whereas MMA is becoming a shittier version of boxing. Essentially, it's kickboxing, because everyone is getting good takedown defense and everyone's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. So there's no more submissions, really. Right. There's not a lot of takedowns, and even if there is, it's fucking boring, but everyone's good at takedown defense. Right. So it's literally kickboxing. Guess who the biggest star of the sport is in MMA? Alex Pereira, who's a kickboxer, because he's knocking everyone out, blah, blah, blah.
It's more entertaining.
And he's the best one because no one can take him down, no one can submit him, so he's just knocking everybody out. But the UFC has less significant strikes per round, and that's with 5-minute rounds. So boxing is going to stand the test of time because it has. It's been, since the 1500s. So 600 years of boxing. I don't think MMA, I'm not long MMA because it's becoming boxing.
I needed to tell myself, I needed some sort of motivation to be able to fight in the championships, because I thought that with my condition, I was never going to be allowed to do that. And that's when I started following you, and I saw that you were also having issues with your eyes, but you weren't telling anybody, because I was doing the same thing as you were doing, kind of squinting, hiding it from people.
Yep.
And so I needed to speak to somebody like you to get an advice from you to say, hey, what should I do when I have this issue? But back then I knew zero English. I didn't know any English at all. And I didn't know how to approach you, how to write it to you. And so when I saw what you were able to achieve with your condition, my condition is very similar, you were a huge motivation for me to even be in the sport in the first place.
Well, I am very humbled by those words. I've seen you say that several times. And yes, thank you for those kind words.